Have you ever noticed how much of your life is devoted to self-justification? You give an explanation for your decision. Why do you feel that way? Why is there never a sufficient explanation for why you are who you are? As soon as you're done, someone wants more. It feels like you're always defending your existence while on trial. But what if I told you that the urge to explain is the precise thing holding you back, and that everything changes the moment you stop explaining yourself? Not in a haughty way, but clearly. You transition from protection to liberty. Frequently, explaining is not communication. It's an expression of regret. It's an expression that means, please understand me. Please give me your blessing. Accept me, please. And when you live this way, your life is owned by the countless opinions of others rather than by you. To please them, you mold your words. You modify your behavior to evade their criticism, and you start to feel alienated from yourself. However, the reality is that no matter how much you explain, people will never really comprehend you, because they don't view the world the way you do. They can see right through their own. You can't force someone to see what they don't want to see. Their ears will only hear what they are prepared to hear, no matter how much you talk. So why go to such lengths to explain? Why pretend that the entire world is a trial and practice arguments in your mind? You cease performing when you stop explaining. Without the continual diversion of reason, you start living life directly. Abruptly, a peculiar liberty emerges. Even though people could still misinterpret you, you are no longer bound by their misconception. You learn that you don't need defense or footnotes because you are enough. We worry that we will lose respect, love, and a sense of belonging if we don't provide an explanation. But take note, those that genuinely care about you don't need constant justifications. Even in stillness, they sense you. Furthermore, no matter how thoroughly you explain, people who do not genuinely love you will not be persuaded. Thus, explanation turns into a trap that feeds the delusion that you can get acceptance by using enough words. In actuality, approval is always temporary and contingent. When you don't have to buy it, you're free. You accept that miscommunications are inevitable and choose to ignore them. Conversations shift when you stop defending yourself. You talk more plainly. Without embellishing it with apologies, you express what you intend. You pay attention without preparing a response. And you find that a lot of the explanations you used to give weren't necessary. Often, silence speaks louder. Words cannot express the weight that a composed, desperation-free presence bears. The tree outside your window is an example. The river doesn't apologize for its twists, and it doesn't explain why its branches are crooked. They just are, and they are wonderful in their essence. This nature also includes you. There's no need to defend your presence. This does not imply that you should never communicate or provide clarification. It implies that you no longer protect your existence as though it were in jeopardy. Explaining and expressing are two different things. Sharing is expressing. To explain is to beg. The first is natural. Fear is the other. And you see, you stay small because of fear. You explain because you're afraid of being rejected. You explain because you don't want to be misinterpreted. You explain because you're afraid you're not enough. However, no amount of justification can make the terror go away. All it does is fuel it. However, you start to see that the dread is an illusion if you stop justifying it. In fact, people start to appreciate you more when you stop explaining. They perceive something different in you, a feeling of self-possession and stillness. Their expectations are no longer a burden on you. You don't have to rush for permission anymore. And they lean closer in that strength. They pay closer attention. They're more serious about you. This isn't because you made them. Rather, it's because your lack of apology and your silence speak louder than words ever could. People have faith in people who don't ask for it. Those who no longer seek respect are respected by them. Think of the great poets, mystics, and instructors. Seldom do they provide an explanation. They used poetry, riddles, and parables to communicate. There was room for mystery. They were aware that explanations cannot convey the truth. It's awoken inside of you. Life loses its mystery if everything is explained. To leave room is to give room for exploration. You allow people into that area when you stop elaborating. There will be misunderstandings. Indeed, others will turn away, but you will meet those who stay. through presence rather than explanation. And genuine connection occurs in presence, my buddy. Not to defend, but simply to exist. You feel compelled to explain, but why? You think you have to earn your spot, which is why. You believe that I will fit in if they comprehend me. Persuasion, however, does not equate to belonging. Authenticity is the source of it. Some people will connect with you when you are genuine, while others won't. That is the situation. Not every bird in the wild is a fan of every tree. Not every ear enjoys every music. Nevertheless, the tree continues to grow. The song continues to play. When you stop giving explanations, you start living this way, without consent, without regret, just being. And everything is altered by this. Doesn't your energy return for explanation wear you out? To continuously improve, practice, and protect oneself. It saps your soul. However, a new vitality emerges when you dump it. The courtroom of opinion is no longer where you reside. You step outside into a world where living is more important than proving yourself. You become aware of how much more at ease you feel. You chuckle more readily. You talk more bluntly. You get more rest. You have nothing to prove. Ironically, that's what adds additional appeal to your presence. Ease attracts people. Even conflict changes when you stop defending yourself, as many disagreements are merely two individuals trying to force the other to give up by constantly defending themselves. However, the argument loses its fervor once you stop playing that game. You don't have to prevail. You don't have to be correct. You remain calm and allow the other person to express their opinion. This, oddly enough, disarms people. Without a defense, what can they attack for? The walls disappear, and a more gentle dialogue frequently starts. This kind of silence is not a sign of weakness. It's a rather powerful tool. Consider hearing someone say, "I don't like who you are." Explaining is the old reaction, but you don't get it. This is the reason I am this way. However, you understand you don't have to persuade people once you stop explaining. Their viewpoint is theirs, not yours. You can answer, but you're not pleading anymore. And with that freedom, you realize how pointless it is to try to influence other people's opinions. Because just as your life is yours, their thoughts are theirs. Others could respond, but isn't explaining part of kindness, part of teaching? Indeed, that is possible. Explaining out of fear is not the same as explaining out of charity. A teacher shares in order to enlighten, not to protect themselves. A lover shares in order to draw the other person closer, not to defend themselves. The spirit makes the difference. Your words convey lightness when you freely share without requiring approval. Your words have chains when you explain out of fear. The difference is felt throughout the world. Therefore, we're talking about freedom from internal arguing rather than quiet in every situation. A lot of people will ask you to explain why you stopped. They will ask for explanations, evidence, and proof of your lack of justification. You can see the trap here as well. You're back in the old game for the time being if you comply. The true solution lies in presence rather than words. Why it grows is not explained by the tree. Why the water runs is not explained by it. Despite this, they give over 1,000 talks. In the same way, your serene, quiet, and unflinching nature provide sufficient justification. The live solution is you. This isn't always simple. There's a deep-rooted habit of explaining. When parents insist on explanations for every behavior, it starts in childhood. You did that, but why? Give an explanation. Thus, we're taught at a young age that justification is linked to both safety and love. Then it becomes almost rebellious, even dangerous, to stop explaining. You're no longer a child, though. Your right to exist does not have to be earned. You're here already. Life has already accepted you. Else, you wouldn't be alive. No denial can take away that yes, and no explanation can add to it. Therefore, take a moment each time you feel compelled to explain. Consider whether I'm sharing or begging. Am I defending or am I communicating? The motivation is shown by this pause, and you can make a different decision after you have a good understanding of the motivation. You can let the stillness speak and smile. You don't need to start with a lengthy apology to respond. And every time you do, you fortify your inner independence. The compulsion lessens with time. You don't have to perform anymore. You take comfort in your serene self-assurance. This self-assurance is not conceit. It is truth's humility. Because conceit still yells, "Look at me. I want you to know that I'm correct." In a whisper, confidence says, "I am here," and that is enough. And the difference is felt by the people. It attracts them, not because you try to win their hearts, but rather because you exude genuineness. All of us are tired of pretending in masks. It's refreshing and captivating to meet someone who isn't afraid to just be themselves. Thus, ironically, you gain respect, trust, and attractiveness when you cease elaborating. Not by pursuing it, but by giving up the pursuit and allowing people to see you for who you are without protection. People who live this lifestyle are frequently misunderstood by the outside world. Some people could describe you as enigmatic, aloof, and remote. But take note, you're not defined by their labels. They are merely mirror images of their own unease with independence, because it makes them think about their own chains when they see you not providing an explanation. While some will awaken, others will resist. In any case, you're still free. You don't try to ease their anguish by explaining. As they must, you let them struggle with it. You give people hope for an alternative, unapologetic way of being. Your connections change. Some fail because they were founded solely on the basis of justification. Others grow because they were anticipating your genuine presence. Your work evolves. You no longer have to work so hard to prove yourself. People react when you directly offer your gift. Your inner world changes. You feel more alive, lighter, and clearer. Because the inner courtroom always becomes silent. The music of life can finally be heard in that silence. The music of being, not the sound of defense. The freedom that awaits you is this. Have faith that people who are supposed to meet you will do so, whether or not they have a reason. Have faith that participation, not justification, is what life requires. Have faith that quiet has a greater impact than defense. And when you feel the need to explain, notice it, breathe, smile kindly, and let it go. Only speak when it comes from clarity rather than fear. You find a new way of being that is lighter, more liberated, and more in harmony with the way things naturally unfold when you do this. And you might trip. You'll be caught in old patterns and have to explain again. Don't be critical of yourself. Remember that smiling is also a part of the practice. Every step toward freedom is a step away from explanation. With time, you become more rooted in yourself. The need decreases and the silence increases. You just are like the river, like the tree, like the stars. And this is profoundly beautiful. You don't live to be understood anymore. Being alive is why you live. If it arrives, understanding is a gift. Nothing is lost if it doesn't. People rarely comprehend you when you explain yourself. They frequently comprehend more after you stop explaining, because they perceive the essence of you, freed from defense. They sense the clarity of your presence and the silence underlying your words. And recognition is evoked by that more than by any argument. For this reason, great truths are embodied rather than yelled or justified. You have devoted so much of your life to self-justification, as if you needed evidence to support your existence. However, the truth is deeper, softer, and simpler. It is sufficient that you are present. Give up defending. Give up begging. Give up practicing your value. Live it. When necessary, use words. When they're not, keep quiet. And have faith that your being is more significant than any justification could possibly be. And everything changes when you live this way. It's not because the world finally gets you, but rather because you no longer need it to. That's true freedom.